Hello, Sync and Flow family, and welcome back to another episode of Sync and Flow, the podcast. We are on episode 39. How exciting. We're about to go into the 40s. So exciting. I just want to say massive shout outs and thank you to all of you who support this podcast, who listen to it, who rate and review and share it with your friends. I really appreciate it so much. You really are the real MVPs. Thank you for being a part of this community. If you're listening to this podcast, please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, rate, review, share it with your friends, and send me a DM on Instagram to say that you've done this and that you listened to this episode, and I will send you a free cycle tracker PDF where you can learn to track your menstrual cycle and become more intimate with your body and your natural cycles. So this conversation is a really important one to have. I am so happy that I can be bringing this conversation to you because it's so fucking important. It is a bold one, it's a controversial one, but it's necessary. And the title of this is Why I Do Not Trust Gynecologists or the Western medical system, and neither should you. And I just want to put a disclaimer in this episode before I get into it, is that I 100% completely acknowledge that emergency and life-saving medical care is extremely valuable, and our modern society would not be where it is today without the progress and scientific breakthroughs that Western medicine has made. But the focus for this conversation is specifically on how the Western medical system often fails women in terms of reproductive, menstrual, and womb health, hormonal health. Okay, so we are very much talking about prevention being better than cause. And unfortunately, within the Western medical system, very often they're only treating the cause. They're not trying to prevent it from happening, okay? And so I'm going to start this conversation by simply telling you my personal experience with Western medicine, with gynecologists, and why I choose to have this outlook and have this as one of my principles and values for the way that I live my life, and choose to look after my own personal, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. So if you haven't listened to episode 1, my story, I highly recommend going back to listen to that episode after this one, as it's a really foundational episode and gives you a lot of good context as to why I do the work that I do, why I'm a womb healer, why I share about spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical health in relation to the womb, in relation to the menstrual cycle, in relation to sexuality and feminine empowerment, and how this is all related to health. As well as going to go listen to episode 24, which is titled How Hormonal Birth Control is Harming Your Health. Those two are very important episodes to listen to if you would like to dive deeper into who I am and why I do this work. So without getting too much into my personal story, I just want to give a quick summary. So I was put on the pill at age 15 for severe PMS. I actually struggled with PMDD, which is a much more intense version of PMS, where the woman often suffers from suicidal ideations and extreme depressive manic episodes before her period. And so I was put on the pill at age 15 to combat the symptoms of PMDD. Fast forward 7 years later, I'm at the gynecologist doing a regular checkup, and she's telling me I have a 5 by 5 centimeter cyst on my left ovary that needs to be operated on immediately. This then started my health crisis, which gave way to my spiritual awakening, which gave way to me going down this path and coming to finding my personal power, taking back my sovereignty away from the external world, taking back codependent relationships with doctors, and relying on the external, someone else, to save me and to tell me what's wrong with me. And it started a sovereign health journey of me becoming autonomous in the way that I live my life and in the way that I understand, the makeup of my health and how I look after my health. So it really was a huge pivotal turning point in my personal evolution and growth as a human and as a soul. And so, in July 2019, I had the cyst operated off my left ovary. I then uncovered that the cyst was caused by me being on the pill for 7 years. And 6 months later, in January 2020, I came off the pill. And 2 months after that, started my womb healing facilitated training, Red 10 facilitated training, initiation into the womb and spiritual feminine mysteries. So that was a bit of a summary. And, it really leads me down the rabbit hole of really just asking the question, why? Why did no one tell me that the pill had all of these negative side effects? Why did no one tell me that, the extreme anxiety and extreme depression I was experiencing for those 7 years was to do with this little pill that I was taking every single day, unconsciously thinking that it was safe for me, that it was okay for me? Why did no one tell me this? Why did no one teach me in school about my menstrual cycle? Why did no doctors or gynecologists ever tell me, oh, did you know you can only get pregnant 6 days out of your entire cycle, right? Why are doctors still, to this day in 2025, I almost said 2024, 2025, still prescribing hormonal birth control, IUDs, and the pill, and the patches, and the injections, whatever mechanism you use, as symptom management for things like PCOS, for things like endometriosis, for things like painful periods, for imbalanced hormones? Beyond that conversation, why are doctors still handing out antibiotics prescriptions like candy? That is another massive part of this story and this inquiry, right? I know so many people who have messed up guts because they were overprescribed antibiotics by their GP, who clearly did not know what they were doing. Okay? So this is kind of the trajectory on which we're going to go down today. And I ask you to please listen to this conversation while remaining open. Open mind, open heart, open soul. Be willing to change your mind based on new information. Be willing to change your opinion based on new information that you are being presented with. Everything I'm going to be talking about today are facts. These are truths that I have discovered and gone down and received on my spiritual healing journey. Okay? As we all know, there are some massive flaws in the Western medical system in relation to women's health. Okay? Did you know that women were only mandated to be a part of clinical trials in 1993? That is crazy. That is really not so long ago. Women were only mandated to be studied, a part of clinical trials, medical research trials from 1993, okay? Before that, women were just treated as small men, you know? The same studies that were done on men were just applied to women, thinking that that's just, you know, how it would work. That's just how women are the same as men. But no, we're completely different. We think differently, we process differently, we have different levels of hormones. We, you know, the concentration of brain chemicals that women experience on a daily basis is completely different to the concentration of brain chemicals that men experience on a daily basis. And we know this because of the menstrual cycle, right? And unfortunately, within the Western medical system, when it comes to women's health, doctors are focusing on treating symptoms rather than addressing root causes. And so when it comes to womb health, it's really important we realize this, right? For example, like I said, birth control is being prescribed as a solution for everything from irregular cycles to PCOS, to endometriosis, to painful periods, to fibroids, to everything, right? Rather than addressing the underlying hormonal imbalances. And if you go one step below the hormonal imbalances, there are psychosomatic, emotional related issues that are causing these hormonal imbalances to begin with. Your body doesn't just go out of balance for no reason. In fact, because of homeostasis, the body is always trying to remain balanced. The body is always trying to achieve balance. Your body is your best friend. Your body is always trying to heal itself and achieve balance and equanimity within itself, within its system, because that's what it's designed to do. The body's ultimate job is to heal, is to work at its highest level of vitality, right? And unfortunately, within the Western medical system, the approach of treating symptoms rather than root causes is a massive, massive blind spot. It really does not give people the personal empowerment to understand why they are dealing with the health issues that they are dealing with in the first place. Why are your hormones balanced in the first place? Why are you experiencing this pain in the first place? Why do you have PCOS in the first place? Why are you suffering with endometriosis in the first place? Okay? And so what I'm going to unpack throughout this episode and through my own personal embodied healing journey, my womb healing journey, and working with many clients over the last couple of years, it's really come down to me to realize that the underlying root cause of all hormonal and womb-based issues is a disconnection from the feminine, is a build-up and suppression of trauma in relation to the feminine. Trauma built up that is stored in the womb. Remember, I say that the womb is a sponge and she stores every single experience that you've ever been through, whether or not you had the tools at the time to process. And so everything you've ever been through, good or bad, is being stored in your womb, waiting for you to journey into your womb, to unpack it, to have the tools to process it, to deal with the suppressed emotions and the suppressed trauma, the internalized misogyny. You have to remember that as women growing up in a patriarchal society, we all have inherited internalized misogyny, whether we want to admit it or not. Okay, just like we all have an internalized a predator, just like we all have an internalized victim, just like we all have an internalized perpetrator. We all hold these different parts of the human psyche within our collective unconscious, okay? And so growing up in patriarchy means that the foundation for which we were brought into this world was a misogynistic one, was a traumatic one, was one of disassociation and disconnection from the body, being over masculinized, being over saturated in our mental capacity and our physical capacities, but being underdeveloped in our emotional and our spiritual capacities, okay? And so this is what has formed the basis foundation for the womb ailments, infertility issues, and hormonal imbalances that we women experience today in our adult selves, in our adult bodies. Okay, so keeping that in mind is super, super important. And that's why when I work with my clients, such as within my 6-week program, Liberated Womb, where I literally give you the tools and the information and the resources to become your own best healer, to decode your symptoms, to understand what is going on with your health and your period and your hormones beyond the surface level symptoms, so you can really decode why this is happening and where it's coming from, and be able to heal your womb and your period issues at the root cause, so that you heal it forever. It never comes back. You don't have to keep upkeeping with your this practice and that practice and this practice. No, what the work that I do with my clients makes myself redundant as a coach, because I give you the tools to empower yourself, to not be in a codependent relationship with your gynae or your doctor, to not need someone else to tell you what is wrong with you. I literally give you the tools so that you can become your own best healer, your own best coach, your own best doctor, right? So Liberated Womb is currently open. We start on the 26th of March. The early bird special ends on the 14th of March. So if you are interested, I would love to have you a part of this 3rd round of this program. If you go on syncandflow.com, you're going to see under the offerings tab, there's Liberated Womb, and all the links are also in the description below. And you can go and see testimonials from the last round, from the last few rounds. This is the 3rd one, so 2 happened last year. And yeah, doors close in about 3 weeks' time. I would love to have you a part of this program. If you also want to become sovereign in your health management, sovereign in your capacity to be your own best healer, and not rely on doctors and gynecologists to tell you what is wrong with you, okay? So I love this program so much. It's my signature program, and we go over every single aspect of health, from physical to mental to emotional to spiritual health. And I show you in a holistic way how all of these parts of health and parts of self are interconnected, and how when one is out of balance, it completely dysregulates the other parts. And so this is something that we have to be aware of, okay? There is also a lack of understanding of the menstrual cycle. Many gynecologists are not trained in holistic menstrual health. Doctors neither, you know. Doctors and gynecologists do not understand the menstrual cycle. They do not understand the hormonal implications of certain lifestyle types and certain ways of living. The cycle as a vital sign is also often dismissed. Did you know that the menstrual cycle is the 5th vital sign? Okay, this is so, so important. The vital signs are the ways in which you are determined a healthy, alive, breathing human. Right? We need the vital signs. And the fact that the vital sign, the 5th vital sign of the menstrual cycle is not acknowledged is like just so barbaric. It is archaic. It is old-fashioned. Vital signs are clinical measurements, specifically pulse rate, temperature, respiration rate, and blood pressure that indicate the state of a patient's essential bodily functions, okay? And then for a woman, you add menstrual cycles. So it's pulse rate, temperature, respiration rate, and blood pressure. And then menstrual cycle on top of that for people in female bodies. And this is so important, the fact that we are not aware of this, okay? The gaslighting that women face when advocating for cycle-related issues in doctor and gynecologist offices is just beyond me. The medical gaslighting that women face, it's actually abhorrent. It is disgusting. And this awareness needs to be brought to light. It needs to be mainstream, that we are aware that women are constantly gaslighted for their symptoms, told that their pain is not bad enough, told that their symptoms are not bad enough, told that they are not taken seriously enough for their symptoms, for their pain. And so their symptoms are downplayed. Their pain is downplayed by doctors that they are seeking help from. And this is just so, so sad. It really, really is. And so women are often left untreated, or left second guessing, or left confused. They leave the doctor's offices more confused than when they entered them. Thinking that they're going to this professional, this healthcare professional, to seek support, to seek guidance, to seek help. When people walk into a doctor's office, it's so much more than just help me with my physical health. It's around hold me while I battle this, extreme anxiety and confusion around my health, which also leads to, emotional vulnerability. It leads to mental confusion. It leads to feeling vulnerable and not having a solid grasp on reality. And that is, a social, emotional intelligence skill that a lot of doctors do not have the capacity to manage and to hold space for, right? And so this is why doctors they are not trained in the art of relating. They're not trained in the art of, like, how do I hold space for vulnerable people, sick people? Because sick people are vulnerable people. When your body is not functioning at its optimum level, it leaves you feeling really vulnerable. Like, no wonder you feel in a bad mood when you just have a cold. Now imagine that you have like an actual serious illness or something serious with your womb, with your fertility, that you are desperately seeking answers for, So it's really important that doctors are educated on how to hold space from an emotional, mental level as well, which unfortunately they often are not, right? And so women are gaslit. They're told that they're not taken seriously enough. And that is traumatic. To have a healthcare professional not take you seriously when you are dealing with agonizing pain, confusion, vulnerability, lack of clarity. Your body's not functioning in the way that it should and you're not taken seriously. That is traumatic. Medical gaslighting is traumatic, and it leaves long-lasting imprints on the psyche and on the patient's ability to trust in authority, the patient's ability to trust in healthcare professionals, right? That leads me to the third point around hormonal birth control and the harmful side effects of birth control. Again, I will say, please go listen to episode 24 of the podcast titled How Hormonal Birth Control is Harming Your Health. I go into depth in that episode as to the science behind hormonal birth control and how it impacts the female physiology and the female body. Because hormonal birth control disconnects women from their bodies. It has harmful side effects like depression, anxiety, and loss of the libido that are often downplayed by doctors. And the impact of synthetic hormones on the body is something that's still not widely known. The impacts not only on fertility, but also heart health, brain health, lung health, liver health, kidney function, all of these secondary, I say secondary with, quotation marks, because actually these are very important things that we need to pay attention to. And also how little informed consent is given, right? When I was put on the pill at the age 15, was I told about these side effects? No. Was I educated on both sides? Like, yes, it's going to do this, but yes, it's also going to have these negative side effects. Was I given that? No. I mean, we all know that the booklet, the leaflet inside of the pill pack is like a little mini novel. It is a fucking mini novel, thick ass little book. Do you think a 15-year-old's gonna read that? Fuck no. Did I ever read that little packet? Fuck no. It's the doctor's responsibility to know about these things. It's the doctor's responsibility to be informed and be educated as the healthcare professional, right? And that is why the patient trusts them, because they should be educated in the subject matter. And so it's the doctor's responsibility to inform the patient before putting the patient on medication, right? You'd think so, right? But unfortunately, that doesn't really happen. It really does not happen. And so women are so commonly put on birth control because of womb-related illnesses and dis-ease, right? We can break down the word disease into dis-ease. It is a dis-ease. It is an imbalance. It is an uneasiness within the body. There is something out of alignment. There is something that is not in alignment. There's something that is not within the truth of how health works. And so this is why I say I do not trust gynecologists and doctors, because and Western medicine doctors, is because I honestly think that they are uneducated. Their usefulness as a professional has the modern science has outweighed the usefulness of the modern medical professional, because the new knowledge that is coming out, the new science, the groundbreaking science that is being released around everything that we're talking about, doctors are not staying educated. They're not updating their knowledge, right? A doctor that went to medical school in 1990 is going to be learning completely different things to a doctor that went to medical school in 2025. I mean, I would hope so. I don't even know. Maybe they are still using their old, archaic, outdated medical textbooks and education. You know, I think as a whole, the system as a whole is outdated. The education system as a whole is outdated. And that is why, you know, all systems that we are seeing today are outdated. The financial system, the government system, the prison system, the healthcare system, the agricultural system, it's all outdated. And they are matching an old paradigm way of being. And, you know, they are not updating with new groundbreaking science. And so it's really important. That is why I, as a coach, put the power in your hands as my clients so that you can make informed decisions about your health, so that you are aware of the holistic, multi-dimensional aspects of health. Because when it comes to menstrual health, when it comes to reproductive health, when it comes to womb health, it is so much more than just physical health. Okay, like I said in the beginning, the underlying root causes of menstrual cycle and womb-based issues are psychosomatic effects, which means it's a mind-body disconnect. It is a subconscious disconnect. It is a subconscious misalignment. It is a mind-body that is out of whack, that is out of balance, that is out of sync with each other. That is partly why I called my brand Sync and Flow, because it's around syncing back in, syncing your mind to your body, syncing back in with your natural way of being, with your most healthy way of being, with your most vital state of being, syncing back in with your most optimal states of being, your most optimal flow, your most optimal health. Okay? And so doctors and gynecologists are not treating womb-based issues with this awareness that there is always an emotional, spiritual, trauma-informed root cause. Doctors are not trauma informed. That is also another thing that we can bring to this conversation. Medical doctors are not trauma informed. In fact, some psychologists are not even trauma informed. Some therapists are not even trauma informed. And they do not understand what it means to be trauma informed. They do not understand how the nervous system plays a part in mental health. They do not understand how the nervous system plays a part in emotional health, in mental health. Okay? Trauma-informed care is a model of care that aims to prevent re-traumatization and support healing for people who have experienced trauma. It's based on the understanding that trauma can impact a person's life in many ways, including their health. This is so fucking important. We are only just starting to study how trauma impacts the body, how trauma impacts the system, how trauma impacts the nervous system, how trauma impacts in personal relationships, how trauma impacts the menstrual cycle, how trauma impacts mother-daughter dynamics, father-daughter dynamics, parent-child dynamics, sibling dynamics, you know, every dynamic. We're only just starting to unpack and have these conversations, only just now, because for so long this kind of thinking was said to be woo-woo. It was said to be irrational. It was said to be, oh, how can an emotional experience have an impact on the physical body? Emotions are just fluffy clouds, right? They just, you know, there wasn't an actual grounded, rooted understanding that no, emotions are not just feelings. They are a chemical reaction that happens within the brain and within the body and within the nervous system. And so that chemical reaction has consequences. It is a chain reaction, right? And so the chain reaction continues until the root cause is healed, is fixed, is attended to. Okay, and this is why root cause trauma-informed healing is so fucking important, because that trauma, the chain reaction that the trauma kick-started is going to continue as long as your body, or let's say your nervous system, still perceives the threat. And your nervous system will still perceive the threat for as long as you repress the fact that there is trauma to heal. For as long as the fact that you deny the fact that you have underlying issues. Maybe it's from your childhood, maybe it's from your teen years, maybe it's even past life trauma. Yes, I went there. And no, it's not even woo-woo to say that anymore, because we are really realizing and coming to the terms and realizations that we are multidimensional beings. There is so much that makes up who we are, why the way we are, why the way we act, why the things that we struggle with are the things that we struggle with, right? And so this multidimensional approach is something that we have to apply to our healthcare as well. It's not something we can just apply to our spiritual healing and then when we go into the doctor's office, we forget that we're multidimensional. No. Having a multidimensional understanding of the self and of this world and of your place in this world and your purpose means that you apply this lens to every single aspect of your life. Your healthcare, your love life, your sex life, your dating, your family relationships, your spirituality, your emotional health, to everything, right? To the way that you consume food, the energetic resonance that experiences leave on the body is something that is not well understood. Energetic hygiene is not something that is well understood or well practiced. And so it's really important that we understand that popping a pill isn't just popping a pill. It's having an effect on all these different levels of health: mind, body, soul, mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual, right? You cannot separate the physical and the spiritual. You cannot separate the mental and emotional. They are interwoven, okay? And this is something that, the toxic patriarchal, capitalistic, masculine culture does. It tries to isolate things. And this is also what, the Western medical system has done, is it tries to isolate. Okay, you have a headache. Oh, that must be a head problem, right? And then here's some pills for your headache. But no one ever thinks, okay, well, maybe, you have a headache because you didn't drink enough water. So why don't you go drink some water before you take these pills, and then see what happens? Because, the issues that I have in my womb, they're not, and the issues that I have with my menstrual cycle, they're not isolated to the womb. They exist throughout my entire body. They exist throughout my entire system, right? They are patterns that are playing themselves out in my nervous system. They are patterns that are playing themselves out at a very subtle level within my subconscious. And so it's really important that we start to realize that, okay, what is my health issue trying to tell me at a deeper level? What are the deeper rooted levels of this issue, this problem? How can I just sit with this? And what is it trying to say? And this is where somatic inquiry comes in. This is where somatics is really important, creating that mind-body relationship where we can actually sit in meditation with our body and ask our body, what are you trying to tell me? What are you trying to communicate with me? Because it's so important that we realize that symptoms are messengers. Okay, pain is a messenger. Pleasure is a messenger. But the symptoms, especially the negative ones like pain and dysfunction and dis-ease, are messengers from the body that there is something wrong. Something is not right. Please pay attention, okay? And so before the body starts screaming, it will start whispering, please pay attention to me. Please pay attention to me. Please pay attention to me. But unfortunately, most of us are living so preoccupied in our head, disassociated from our body, consumed with our worldly problems, our external lives. We're not making time to check in with the body. We're not making time to develop the somatic discernment. When I say somatic, I mean mind, body. We're not making time to check in and ask our body, how are you doing, body? I love you, body. Do you need anything from me today, body? What can I do to make your experience of life better today, body? We're not listening. We're not asking these important questions. We're not creating that self-intimacy with our health, with the check-in. And so the body tries to tell us, and we just push it away. We push it away. We repress. And then eventually the only choice that the body has is to scream at us, is to say, hey, bitch, pay attention. And the way that the body screams is through extreme pain, is through extreme issues like PCOS, like endometriosis, like fibroids, like infertility, like painful menstrual cycles, like PMDD. This is how the body screams at us. Pay attention. Look below the surface. There is something going on that you are not paying attention to. Okay? And in this way, we can actually start to have gratitude for our symptoms, because this is how our body brings us back into a state of balance by first showing us the imbalance that we need to address, the dis-ease that we need to address. Okay? That is the power of healing. That is the power of realizing, okay, like these symptoms aren't just random. They are a chance for me to heal, right? Just like triggers are a chance for healing and greater self-awareness and greater self-inquiry. It is a chance for you to realize, oh, hang on a second, something's not right here. Let me start to dig a little deeper. Let me start to look below the surface. Let me start to use self-inquiry and self-awareness to unpack why this is happening to me, right? And so in this way, we get to reframe the symptoms as messengers, the symptoms as teachers, the symptoms as portals to greater health. Okay, not right now, obviously, but once you get on the other side of the healing journey, that's where you get to access that greater health, because the symptom has led you on this journey. And how can you not be grateful for the journey of cultivating more self-love, cultivating more self-awareness, cultivating more self-intimacy, and starting to give your body what it really is craving on a much, much deeper level than you ever realized. And the only reason you've gone on that journey is because you had the dis-ease to begin with. And in this way, we can be so grateful, right? I sidetracked a little bit from my notes, but let's get back. That was an important sidetrack. Yeah, we already spoke about medical gaslighting and dismissal of women's symptoms. Stories of women being told it's all in your head, or being given antidepressants instead of real solutions. This is what almost happened to me. When I was on the pill, age 17, 18, I was experiencing the worst depression and anxiety I've ever experienced in my life. And you know, my depression and anxiety was a symptom of the pill. It was a symptom of me being disassociated from the voice and connection of my body. But you know how many times I was offered antidepressants? Like way too many, way too many as the solution for my depression and anxiety. And if you think about it, it's just taking one pill to mask and suppress the symptoms of another pill. And so therefore it becomes this pill cocktail of one pill, another 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 pill. The answer is not at the bottom of the pill packet. The answer is not in the pill. And so this is why, like, reclaiming our medical sovereignty and our health autonomy is so important, because unfortunately, you know, the Western medical industrial complex is ultimately a business. Hospitals are businesses. Big pharma is a capitalistic, greedy pig business. And what is the ultimate goal of business within capitalism? Make money, okay? And so this is why big pharma has so many hands in so many pies, are massive lobbyists, like paying off politicians, having their hands in the pies in the government. Because ultimately they want people to be pushing the pill as a solution, any pill, any form of big pharma medication, over the natural alternatives. Because when you take a pill, you become codependent to that pill. You constantly need to go back to the doctor to get the prescription, to go to the pharmacy to get your new prescription. Whereas when you heal at a root cause level, you're not codependent to anyone. Firstly, your healing, you know, you take it, your healing goes in your hands. You are responsible for your own healing. Therefore, the responsibility is on you. And secondly, the natural solutions they're not addictive. They don't need to be, you know, they're not lifelong things that we're now stuck to, right? They're not lifelong frameworks that we're now indebted to, because the natural solutions have their own expiry date. You know, they have their own, okay, I've done this natural solution, and now I'm actually starting to see progress because I'm actually healing at a root cause level. And so we can actually heal the root cause of the issue rather than just taking medication to treat the symptoms. And just because the symptoms go away doesn't mean the root cause is going away. And that's another thing we have to be aware of. Just because we're treating the symptoms and now the symptoms are gone, doesn't mean that now the root cause is treated. And so this is a massive realization that we have to have, okay? The dismissal of conditions like endometriosis, adenomyosis, PMDD, and PCOS. I already spoke about that. The long road many women have to take to get a diagnosis. Did you know that the average number of years that it takes for a woman to get an endometriosis diagnosis is 8 years? 8 years to get a endometriosis diagnosis. That is the average. I'm speechless. It's disgusting. The fact that women are searching and confused and in this state of vulnerability and confusion and upsetness and emotional dysregulation over their health and over their body. And, you know, the longer you spend not knowing, the more you disassociate from your body, the more you disassociate from the symptoms. Because, like, what else are you supposed to do? Sometimes disassociation it's always a protection mechanism. It's the way that the nervous system protects your body and your mind from the overwhelm. Because living with a condition for 8 years and not knowing, that is so overwhelming. That is so stressful. That is so, like, just yeah, it's not nice. I wouldn't wish that on anyone, right? And so the road that women go down to try and get these diagnoses, it's a really, really hard road. It's a struggle. And many women, yeah, they don't make it to the 8 years even. Maybe they give up halfway. Maybe they just decide, okay, well, fuck it. I don't know what's going on. I'm just going to go on the pill. And since the pill suppresses all the symptoms, I'm Gucci because now my symptoms are gone. At least I can, in the short term, live an okay life, right? Without this overwhelm, without this pain, this stress, this whatever it is, that they're experiencing, And a lot of people, especially when it comes to health, when it comes to emotional health, when it comes to physical health, when it comes to mental health, unfortunately, a lot of people are going to choose the short-term, easy way out rather than the long-term, long, hard road, okay? And that's just the way it is. Sometimes things be so bad that the short-term, easy way out solution is so much more appealing than the long-term road of another doctor, another professional, another expert, then go see this, then try this, then try this, then da-da-da-da-da-da. It's always just a guessing game. And no one wants to be stuck in the confusion space, in the unknown forever. That's it's painful. It's really, really painful to be stuck in that space for a long period of time. And that's why I don't blame people for choosing the quick fix solution. And very often that quick fix solution is a pill, is hormonal birth control, is, medication, antidepressants, anti-anxiety, because it's so much easier than going down the long, winding, unknown road of getting to the root cause. And this is why working with healthcare, like coaches such as myself, and holistic healers, holistic coaches, people who can give you a different perspective. Like for me, I work a lot with my intuition. And so when people come to see me, I'm not relying on oh, you have this symptom, this symptom, this symptom, this symptom. Okay, so you tick the box for this diagnosis. No, I'm listening to their full story. I'm unpacking their life. I'm unpacking their trauma. I'm getting a holistic perspective of them as a human. And then I'm making my judgments and my deductions based on evidence that they are presenting me. And I'm using my intuition, which is a combination of my mind and my body working together to deduce what is actually going on below the surface. Okay, I'm using so much more than just my rational mind to come to a conclusion of what this person is struggling with. And so Western medical doctors do not use intuition. They do not use, they do within their own capacity and within their practice, but I'm talking about a deeper spiritual knowing. I'm talking about a deeper spiritual knowing that is tapped into source consciousness. And in that way, we can be tapped into the collective consciousness. And that allows us to have a broader, more wider perspective of what is going on. And that allows for the communication between the patient and between the client and the coach, or the client and the professional, the energetic communication to happen. I let my clients' energy speak to me. I let their bodies speak to me through the energetics, right? Because the energetics are not tainted by ideology. They're not tainted by right or wrong. They go beyond ego. They go beyond the need to get it right or wrong. And it simply comes down to, what are the energetics telling me? And how can I make deductions from the energetic clues that I'm receiving from this case, right? The overuse of invasive procedures. how procedures like hysterectomies are pushed when alternatives exist. Oh my God, this is so, makes me so angry actually. Like the fact that hysterectomies, where if you don't know what that means, it means the removal of the uterus, are still happening in 2025. Like, what era are we in? That hysterectomies and uterus removal is still seen as a viable option. Okay? And I know you might be saying, oh, Josie, maybe there's extreme cases of HPV or cervical cancer or this or that. I'm telling you now, when you work from a multidimensional framework, you realize that every physical health issue starts as a spiritual misalignment. It all starts as a spiritual, energetic dis-ease, a spiritual, energetic misalignment, a spiritual, energetic imbalance, a lack of harmony, a lack of connection, a lack of the right parts of the body and the spirit and the mind talking to each other, okay? I know women who have used modalities such as plant medicine to heal cervical HPV precancerous cells, who've used iboga, who have used kambo, who have used ayahuasca, like these deep medicines that work on a multidimensional level to heal physical issues. Okay, even Joe Dispenza, he often talks about the miracle mind. He talks about becoming superhuman. He talks about healing the body with the mind. He talks about healing things like cancer and spinal issues, spinal things that the doctors say, no, you're never going to walk again. And then a patient goes and does multidimensional healing and works on their mindset and does all these ancient practices, ancient purification practices, tantric practices, Buddhist practices, ancient Chinese medicine practices, working with ancient Chinese medicine herbs. Okay, like there are so many ancient practices that acknowledge that the body is so much more than just, healing the body is so much more than just the physical health. Okay, and it's so important that we realize this. Like taking out the womb of a woman should be illegal. It should never, ever, ever be the first option. It should be like the 100th option. Like, okay, cool, we've tried, we've exhausted this list of 100 different things to try. And if none of those work, okay, the last possible emergency option is a hysterectomy, taking out the womb. But there are so many other things that we can do for the healing of our womb, for the healing of our uterus, for the healing of our bodies before that. And that's what just makes me so fucking angry. That women who, they're mainstream women, they're not doing plant medicine, they're not connected to holistic circles, they're not, they don't know about these alternative medicines, they don't know about holistic health and alternative treatments. They just accept their doctor because they have been, like all of us, conditioned to see doctors as gods, to see doctors as law, to see what doctors say as the law, right? And so then they just accept, okay, well, if the doctor says I have to take out my womb, then like, whatever, I accept it. I'm just going to go with it. And this just makes me so sad. It makes me so sad that women's agency is taken away, that they don't know what they don't know, and therefore they don't ever find out. Because doctors are prescribing things like hysterectomies before doing their own research as to what other options are available, what cases around the world have women, healed HPV without getting the laser. Like, even like I met a woman who literally had HPV, and then her gynecologist like basically cut off the tip of her cervix and told her this is the only option, and yeah, like that's what you're going to have to deal with. I'm sorry. And so she's probably never going to be able to have children naturally. She's probably never going to be able to give birth naturally, because now her cervix is deformed because it was cut off because she had some abnormal cells. And it's like really fucking sad that this is the world we live in, that women are given so little options with regards to their womb health, with regards to their fertility, with regards to their reproductive health. It's really fucking sad. The risk of IUDs, unnecessary C-sections, and medical interventions in birth. Oh my God, like this is a whole nother rabbit hole to go down, like the medicalization of birth. I'm going to probably have to record a whole nother podcast on that, because it's a massive subject matter that can be a whole podcast on its own. But let me just lightly touch on the fact that, women have been giving birth naturally before the medical industrial complex, and they will be giving birth naturally after the medical industrial complex. And yeah, like it's all about empowering the mother. It's all about empowering the woman. It's all about feminine empowerment. Okay. And then you say to me, oh no, Josie, without medical intervention, so many women before C-sections, they were dying in childbirth. Yeah, they were dying in childbirth, but they weren't dying in childbirth because Western medicine, couldn't help them. They were dying in childbirth because patriarchy disassociated them from their bodies. They're dying in childbirth because patriarchy disconnected them and destroyed all the feminine mystery schools that taught women about the multidimensional nature of birth, the multidimensional initiation that is motherhood and is giving birth. Birth is so much more than just a physical experience, okay? And this is why you have to prepare the body. This is why I do womb healing. This is why I started my womb healing journey way before I'm even thinking about giving birth and having children, because the level at which you heal your womb is going to, or the level at which you still have trauma in your womb, should I say, is going to make itself very, very obvious during your pregnancy and during your birth experience. Okay, this is why free organizations like the Free Birth Society exist, and hypnobirthing, these practices exist, because it's about empowering the mother to know that she can birth on her own. 99.9% of issues that we are seeing in our modern day society are psychosomatic, which means that it is a mind-body disconnect. It is a story that the mind has been telling itself because of trauma. The little girl that didn't feel like she was good enough is also the mother that feels like she's not good enough to give birth. She's not capable enough to give birth. She doesn't have the tools and the capacity and the strength and the emotional fortitude to be able to give birth naturally, wholefully, strongly on her own. And so she has a subconscious blockage. She has an emotional, spiritual, subconscious block, a disconnection from her own body, from her own power as a woman, as a birth giver, as a life giver, as a womb bearer. Okay? It all comes full circle. When you empower women, you change the shape of our society. No longer do women need to have C-sections because they are empowered in their own capacity to give birth. And you say, oh no, Josie, what about breech birth and babies that are, turned the wrong way and want to come out feet first? Yeah, it happens. Life happens. Shit happens. There are natural ways of turning the baby. There are natural ways of preventing these things, of changing these things without a massive medical intervention, okay? When women lived in tribes, this was the role of the healers within the tribes, to hold this knowledge of the feminine body, to hold this wisdom, to initiate young women into the feminine mysteries, into the mysteries of the womb, of the blood, of the period, of the cycle, of the moon, of the babies, of birth, of pregnancy, right? And we have lost touch with the sacred wisdom because of patriarchy, because of the systemic suppression of women and feminine-based knowledge, wisdom, and intuition, right? Because we've lost touch with our indigenous ways of being. And that is what this is all about. It is about a reclamation of what we know at a deep, deep level to be true. Okay? And then the final point that I want to touch on is this, and I kind of already spoke about this briefly, but the profit over healing. How pharmaceutical industries and Western medical industries, doctors, hospitals are businesses first. And they basically benefit from keeping women and people dependent on medications. They benefit from keeping people sick. And this is why it is no longer a healthcare system. We are seeing a sick care system because the system doesn't want you to be healthy. The system does not want you to be healthy because then the system cannot sustain itself and make money from you. Whereas if you have a sick care system that profits and benefits from people being sick and codependent and frail and vulnerable, then of course it's going to look at where the money goes. Money is a massive, massive motivator for why this world is in the fucked up state that it is. And it's not money that corrupts, it's corrupt people that use money as a motivator to do disgusting, negative things, to take advantage of vulnerable people. Corrupt people take advantage of vulnerable people. The lack of research on women's health and how most studies are based on male biology. I already said this at the beginning. Women were only mandated to be a part of clinical trials in 1993. Most studies on medications, on lifestyle things, on exercise, on cold plunge, on, different lifestyle ways of being, as well as medications, as well as pharmaceuticals, they're done on male bodies. They're done on male brains. And therefore, women just aren't taken seriously. And then when women start to apply these medications and these lifestyle things to our bodies, like, no wonder it's not working. No wonder it's giving you more anxiety. No wonder it's actually making your health worse and your gut worse and your anxiety worse and your depression worse and your PMS worse and your cramps worse, right? Because these practices weren't designed for a cyclical female body. Okay. It's a big conversation. It's a really, really big conversation. And if you've made it to this far in the podcast. I'm so grateful to you for listening and engaging with this subject matter. It's not easy. It's a heavy, heavy topic. Okay? And it makes you realize that, like, there are evil agendas in this world. Good and evil exist. And there are evil agendas in this world. And unfortunately, yes, a lot of doctors are doing good, but they're doing good within an evil system. They're doing good within a sick care system. Doctors are trying to be healthcare professionals within a sick care system. And so that correlation, it does not work. And so yes, doctors are doing amazing work and helping a lot of people, but ultimately it's the system that informs the individuals. And so if the doctors are informed by this corrupt, greedy, profit-centric system, then of course that's going to have an effect. It's about how the energy trickles down the system, trickles down the ladder, trickles down the structure of, you know, the dissemination of information, the dissemination of energy, the dissemination of intent, right? Because doctors are at the bottom, they're working at the bottom, and then at the top we have the government, the FDA, big pharma, and the lobbyists, right? And if the intention of the people at the top is not pure, then of course that impurity is going to trickle all the way down the system and affect those at the bottom, right? So it's really important that we have these conversations. It's really important that we take charge of our health. And I do want to, leave you on a bit more of a positive note, because this is a heavy conversation. And so what can you do instead? Well, firstly, you can start by signing up for my 6-week Liberated Womb online program, where I empower you to reclaim your womb wisdom, to reclaim your health autonomy, to become sovereign over your mind, body, soul, to get off antidepressants, to get off pharmaceuticals and be a pure channel so that you can receive divine healing, divine wisdom from your own body, from yourself, and heal yourself at the root level so that you heal once and for all. Because the way that I teach you to heal is that it's like you don't need to live a certain lifestyle in order to not get period cramps. No, like we heal the period cramps at the root level, which is the emotional trauma that was created as a result of patriarchy, as a result of misogyny, as a result of you not being initiated into your menstruation in a respectful, sacred, loving, safe way, right? Like the shame that women experience when they start their menstrual cycles, like all of these things, the shame and the guilt, it's all stored within the womb. That is why you experience your menstrual health issues. That is why you have endometriosis. That's why you have PCOS. Like, I cannot state it anymore. Okay, and if that is you and you are battling, please reach out to me. I can help you. I can help you heal at a root cause level. I can help you heal forever. I can give you practices and tools that are going to empower you and allow you to take back your health into your own hands. Okay? By reclaiming your womb wisdom so that you can learn about your own cycle, learn about fertility awareness and natural healing methods, natural birth control methods. Understand your body's signals rather than outsourcing your health to doctors. Become best friends with your body so that you can interpret the symptoms, the messages from your body. Start to have a holistic approach to women's health. The role of nutrition, herbal medicine, energy work, and embodiment practices in healing. It is so important. How practices like womb massage, acupuncture, and cycle syncing can transform menstrual health. And start advocating for yourself in the medical system. Learn how to ask better questions and demand informed consent from your doctors and healthcare professionals. Find a holistic or integrative practitioner who truly listens, who knows that health is so much more than just the physical. And know when to say no to unnecessary treatments or interventions such as hysterectomies. I literally had a client come to me end of January, or a potential client. She's not working with me, but please help me manifest that this client finds the grace of God, through the grace of God, comes to me. She told me that she had a pap smear and the cells came back, not good. And the doctor suggested a hysterectomy. And now she's like, cool, I'm prepping for that. And I'm just like, no, babe, please, please, please don't get a hysterectomy. Like, it makes me want to cry. Okay? Because like I said, health is so much more than just a physical issue. It starts as a spiritual manifestation. Okay? The physical, before something manifests in the physical, it starts as a spiritual, energetic manifestation. And that's where it starts forming an energetic misalignment, an energetic dis-ease. And then it slowly moves to a mental. And then if we do not pay attention, it slowly moves to an emotional. And if we do not pay attention, it slowly moves to this physical. When something manifests in the physical, it is the last step. It is the last point of call that this block, this dis-ease, this misalignment, this imbalance is existing on. It is the last plane. And so this is why when dealing with serious health issues, physical health issues, it's so important that we go back to the spiritual, energetic misalignment and confront and deal with that first. Because once you deal with that, then it's just going to trickle down the system. The healing is going to trickle down the system. And this is how I work. You got to work with the spiritual, energetic first. And when you heal that foundation, your entire health will start to change. Because now you realize that your health is so much more than just what supplements you take, how much exercise you do. Your health is a divine experience. Your health is your capacity to be in alignment with your highest truth, with your highest self. Okay? It's not that like, and this is another thing, and I think I just want to say this last before I leave, but like viruses and bacterias, and this is something that's super important. My friend Annette is well versed in German new medicine and she often talks to me about it, but viruses and bacterias are not these external big green monsters that are now coming to attack us and we're the helpless human victims. No. We are one with the viruses and the bacteria. We have viruses and bacteria living within our body at all times. It's not that they are these things and now they're coming to attack us and now we're the victims and like, oh no, like God help that we get sick. No, it's not like we're getting attacked. No, it's actually a misalignment. It's a internal dis-ease that creates the capacity for that thing to harm us. Okay, it's an internal vulnerability. It's an internal, whatever it is, an internal trigger that then allows for our vulnerable system to be taken advantage of to be overwhelmed, should I say, by the virus and the bacteria. We're always living with those viruses and bacteria in our system, in our body, okay? Sometimes we can even have them in our bodies, just, like the killer T cells are dealing with us. We might not even know that we're sick. We might not even get the symptoms because it hasn't overwhelmed the system. When you get sick, that means that the bacteria and the virus have overwhelmed the system so much that it cannot keep up. The immune system cannot keep up with the system so that it creates the symptoms. For those of you that have just joined, thank you for being here. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop in the chat. I am about to jump off. But yeah, like, we are not victims. We are not victims to our external environment. We're not victims to the healthcare system. We're not victims to bacterias, to viruses, to flus, to COVID. We're not victims. In fact, when we have a virus, viruses are ways in which our bodies upgrade themselves, and ways in which our immune systems upgrade themselves. Because once your immune system naturally defeats the virus or takes care of the virus, it now becomes stronger. It now becomes more resilient. It now becomes more capable of handling itself within the environment, right? So yeah, it's really, really interesting, and it's a massive mind reframe and a shift that we can make in how we perceive bacteria and viruses. We are not the victims, and they are not out to get us, okay? I think this is like a massive, like, brainwashing that we've grown up in this world. Is like, we are these helpless humans, and like, everything is out to get us. The bacteria is out to get us, the virus is out to get us, the government's out to get us, the mother nature's out to get us with the natural disasters, like the snakes out to get us, the spiders, the insects, like, no. We are one with everything in our environment. We are one with nature, including the bacteria, the viruses, and the fungi. We are one, okay? And so when we can heal ourselves from this holistic understanding of wholeness, it's so important. Yeah, they are a message. But when you are in the sickness itself, and you feel so vulnerable, of course it's hard to believe that, you are sick for a reason. I truly, truly believe everything happens for a reason. I truly, truly believe this. And so you get sick for a reason. And that's why understanding holistic health can be so empowering, because it asks you to turn the lens back on the self and say, okay, like, why am I dealing with this? Why am I run down? And it's often because we're not taking proper care of ourselves. We're malnourished. We are not getting the nutrients and minerals that we need from our diet, because modern agriculture, our diets are lacking these minerals and nutrients that we need to be strong, resilient individuals at a, fundamental atomic level. Our cells are not receiving enough life force. Our mitochondria in our cells are not working at their best capacity because there is a blockage, right? And so everything impacts everything. And so that's why the best thing that you can do for your health, for your physical health, is by doing the deep inner work. Confronting the blockages, confronting your shadow, confronting the emotional challenges and your traumas and whatever is stopping you from being your best self. Okay, the more you go on the healing journey, the healthier you get. I barely ever get sick now. And when I do get sick, like recently, I just had a bit of a throat sickness thing, like throat inflammation. I realized it was because I was run down. It was because I was overworking myself. It was because I didn't take good enough care of myself. It was because I wasn't, checking in with myself. And so all of these things that happen to us, it's not happening to us. It's happening for us. Okay? Life happens for us, not to us. And so when women step into their power and take charge of their health, it becomes a multi-dimensional up-leveling. We become multi-dimensionally resilient on all levels, okay? And so this is an invitation to all of you, is where can you learn more and what steps can you take today? Okay? What steps can you take today? And truly, if you are seeking support on your holistic healing journey, and you're wanting to know how can you do the deeper healing work, my course, Liberated Womb, is now open for registration. The link is in the description below. Feel free to send me a DM. This is where you can start to do this work. Truly. It's life-changing work. We address all health levels, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And yeah, it gives you the tools to be able to ask yourself these questions and become your own best healer. Okay, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, rate, review, wherever you're listening to this. And I'll see you next time. Mwah. Thank you for being here. Ciao.